Arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defined, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people, I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm like him, to Mike Tyson, I'm a bison, a beast. I'm high like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess I'll lit, I guess I'll bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
What up, fellas? How's
Hey.
it going? Little special edition
Sunday night.
Simpson whiskey. I'm trying to reset here because my system said it's about to die, so I apologize ahead of time here. Get it plugged in and everything should be okay. But yeah, coming to you live for a little draft special. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll figure it out, guys. I apologize. We'll figure something out. But yeah.
Come on, you're better than this, Caleb.
We're going to do a little drafting.
You're better than this, buddy.
That's better. There we go. That's better. All right, we'll try that. All right, sorry. Had to grab my stuff over here and reset. I'll just look down at everybody until it's got enough charge, and then I'll go back to the other setup where it's a little more convenient. So apologize ahead of time. But we are coming to you live for a little draft special, mock one for us. We'll roll through it, and little ground rules as always when we do mocks. They are as is. We will talk about where we think trade potential might be or if a team should be thinking about it. But we're not going to draft and say, we're going to do a trade here and this is the value and this, that, now. We're not going through that list. So we'll draft what you see on the board as they are. Obviously, that's going to change up into our last mock the Tuesday before that starts. So we will see how things go, but this will give you a taste of where we think teams should be and how we feel things should unfold as we move forward. Thoughts, fellas? Pinky, Andy, how you guys doing tonight, by the way?
Doing good, man. Work went well. Got to get the
Doing
kids.
good, buddy.
All of them are home. We're good.
Excellent.
All right.
That's what I like to hear.
How's the
So,
board looking,
Pinky,
fellas?
get us going here.
I mean, you're number one, baby. So it's on you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's an easy decision. I do
You
not
can do
think
whatever
he's
you
gonna be
want
a
here.
bust. Am I behind or is
Are you
Pinky
sure?
behind?
You sure?
I think Pinky's
I'm
a little behind. Yeah.
Damn it.
I'm
All
like,
right.
I'm like, is he
Hold on.
talking right now or are we behind?
All right,
What's
boys.
going on? I'm lost.
I'm gonna drop out. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
I'll be back.
He didn't give us a topic though. We need to. If you're gonna say talks amongst yourselves, you're supposed to drop a topic and then peace out, right? Isn't that the SNL rule?
Well, we had the we had, was it the UFC fights? We had a fight night on Saturday. Nothing too major, but there are some pretty decent fights. We've got 300 coming up, and I heard your opinions on that. So that will be.
I mean, look, Pinky thinks it's going to be a good fight card. I hope there's good fights, but to me, they dropped the ball so hard on that because it's a bunch of names that were has been. Not that they're necessarily has-beens, but they're names that has been. And the UFC has done such a bad job of bringing up new talent to make this one hell of a fight card.
Yeah, and they even advertise it that way. Former champion, most overall wins, hasn't fought in this amount of time. Yeah, so I mean, they're bringing it out. Like you said, the UFC hasn't brought in a lot of new guys, and that is kind of, you can tell it's bringing them down. But
I mean, if you're going to do has-beens, the fact that, and I get why Jones is on here because of injuries, so that's a bummer. But the fact that Conor is not fighting on this card, like, I'm sorry, but if that was a UFC decision, a Dana White decision, that was a huge missed opportunity, regardless of whether or not you think Conor was ready.
Oh, there was rumors about Brock Lesnar having a fight, which would have been awesome.
He's not doing anything anymore after the WWE scandal that's coming out.
See, I was excited for that. There was rumors about Ronda Rousey having another fight. So, like, all that stuff would have been cool just to see it one more time. Those are big names, but you're right. Nothing came up. But I'm hopeful. I like watching the fights anyways. I mean, even if I like it when they're longer because it always sucks when the main card's over in like 40 minutes or 30. That's always kind of like, yeah.
I personally am good if I spend the money and I get my money's worth, whether they're long 5-round knock 'em out brawls or whether they're ending in 10 seconds. I'm good either way.
Something crazy cool like that, yeah. Did Pinky tell you about how the guy got bit?
Yeah, I saw plenty of videos on that. They went and got tattooed.
Yeah, then he got the tattoo of it. Yeah, I was like, that's pretty sick.
That's crazy. Cool. Pinky, are you following us? Are you up to date on this?
I hope so.
Okay, that sounds better.
So, fingers crossed.
Let's see what happens when you pull up the actual draft board again.
I think that's what was slowing it down, but we'll see.
Let's find out.
We shall see.
So number one, I think it's a no-brainer. I do not think he's going to be a bust. I think they're going to have a lot of weapons. Hopefully they're smarter with the way they handle this QB than everything that's come before him. But I do think he has the potential to be really good. I am still thinking there'll be new coaching staff for his year 2, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays out. But Caleb Williams, number one.
Yeah.
I thought about Jaden Daniels. I honestly did. I did think about Jaden Daniels, but I'll go with Caleb Williams here. I don't think you're wrong with Jaden Williams, but I like him better fit with Washington and what they can do. So I'll let him slide and be in a better state.
Let's just say, Caleb, I'm just going to say, if they did everything that they did, trade away Fields, pick up Keenan Allen, kind of do everything that they've done to set things up, and then they didn't go Caleb Williams, I feel like their fan base would go nuclear.
I think there's a lot of that fan base. I think it's 50-50, dude, with Caleb Williams almost now these days. So I think if they went Jaden Daniels, I don't think people would be as upset as maybe you might think a month ago.
I don't know. I'm high on Jaden Daniels. I've got a lot of positivity, but I only saw it for 1 year. His Arizona State stuff was not great. He came in and blew things up this year, though.
Gotta remember, Arizona State, he was not playing with a good team or, honestly, a good coach. Herm Edwards was a decent NFL coach, but never great. He didn't do anything at ASU. And then Jaden Daniels, look, people talked about Joe Burrow. He had all these weapons. Is he going to be able to do it? Well, yeah, he can distribute the ball when needs to be to all those weapons. Jaden Daniel has 2 of the top 3 receivers on a lot of people's boards. Maybe even the top 2 on some boards I've seen here recently. And he distributed the ball to both of them. So I think there's something to be said for that. But we'll see. You're right. It was just a year, but Joe Burrow is a very famous example of just a year and did just fine.
All right, Andy. You're up 2 with the Commanders.
Well, at 2, I agree with
Don't
Caleb.
mess it up.
What's up?
Don't mess it up.
No mess up. Yeah. Jaden Daniels, this is where I think he's going to go, especially in this offense. They're going to need a guy that's going to run out a lot. So that's where I think Jaden Daniels offers it. I mean, what he showed he can do with his legs was impressive, but he does have an arm and he can stay in. So that's where I don't think they'll take Jayden Daniels, the Bears, just because I think he's too close to Fields. I think that's too soon. Caleb offers a different game. So I think they have to. Like, even if they wanted to, I think they'd move on. But DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Wes Claypool, that's pretty cool. Sorry. But the Commanders, yeah.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. See,
Yeah, these first couple are pretty easy.
Yep.
There were some rumors that came out today about the Patriots still being open to trading out of 3. I've got a crazy idea here, fellas. I just want to throw it. Patriots trade out of 3 with the Vikings, let's just say. Vikings give up 11, 23, and some extra to sweeten the deal, right? They take Drake May. Patriots move back at 11. They just wait. Hopefully the Broncos don't trade over them, which I don't think they will. And they take J.J. McCarthy. I think they'd be happy with that. Plus all the extra draft picks.
Absolutely.
That's my
I think the Patriots definitely trade out here, and I think that scenario becomes a very viable situation, Pinky.
Yeah.
So solid thought process there, my guy. But if they stay at 3,
staying
what
where
are you
they
doing?
are, they're taking Drake May. They stay at 3.
Yeah.
I feel like they need they need a quarterback. They play in a good division.
Yeah, they kind of play in a division with quarterbacks. So yeah, that would probably be a smart thing to make sure you have.
Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua. You kind of need a quarterback to compete, unless again, new coach. I think it's a new GM. Maybe not. Maybe the GM's. Belichick's not there anymore, so technically they've got a new GM. And in this case, they need all the draft picks they can get to build an actual team.
Yeah,
Caleb,
you're
that's
not
back.
wrong. So I go back and forth with this pick a lot. And Pinky, you know how I like to build my teams. And as much as a weapon would be nice here, and I'll still say this with Cincinnati, Jamar Chase was a beast, but if you have a better offensive line, do you maybe win that Super Bowl? Yeah, potentially. So while I want Marvin Harrison here, like real bad to pair him with Kyler Murray, the thought of grabbing Joe Alt here and having a left tackle for the next 10 to 14 years is really hard to pass up. So I'm actually going to go Joe Alt and start building something to protect Kyler a little more, knowing that there are weapons later in the draft.
I think that's actually really smart because they've had wide receiver talent for him.
Solid thinking, but they have no talent
to pass up
there at
on
all
the
now.
quote unquote generational talent in Marvin Harrison, but Joe Alt is quote unquote potentially generational talent at left tackle. So
now I think they're in a similar spot as the Patriots. I could see them trading out of 4. Also, with
agreed.
The Vikings gathering their 2 picks, so then they can draft the O lineman at 11, and then they could draft the wide receiver at 23, or vice versa. Whichever way.
O line is fairly deep across the board in this draft. D line not as much, but still some talent there. But the O line, even deeper in rounds, you can find some good talent. So I don't hate that thought process for the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah. And one of the mocks has Minnesota trading up to get McCarthy at this spot.
Right. So, you don't go and get a second pick if you're not thinking that you're trying to get a quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I agree. Minnesota's probably going to have one of these top 5 picks here. It's just a question of where they do it. So it'll be interesting. But again, as it stands, and actually, the Cardinals sitting there and taking Alt, I don't think would be a terrible move for them either.
No.
So
this makes perfect sense. Just like you're explaining.
That's a great move.
To get Kyler to be where you want him to be, you've got to have a better O-line. You have to.
Don't forget, Cardinals have 27 as well. So they can draft the wide receiver at 27.
Which would be super sexy then. Yeah.
So yeah, they still have some opportunities. It's like that same conversation we had of Sewell versus Jamar Chase. Now I think Arizona at least had a good lineman they drafted last year, Paris Johnson. I think he
Yeah.
turned out pretty good. So like they're
Out of
not
Ohio
as
State, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
That guy's good.
yeah. So I don't think they're desperate, but I think that that's still a good. I mean, Joe Alt is going to be a 10-year starter. I think he might. There's a lot of good ones in this draft, so but he might. Be
I know
like
this is
the
crazy,
best,
but just like size comparison and his ability to have mobility, I see some early shades of Joe Thomas type from Joe Alt.
Which would be awesome, dude.
Ooh, I like
That'd
that.
be amazing.
I like that. So, Andy, you're on the clock with the Chargers, and again, this is another team that could trade out of 5. Jim Harbaugh's been cleaning house, and
Smartly
I
so.
think they would love to have some more draft picks, and they like building in the trenches as well. That's what he does. So this is a really interesting pick, in my opinion.
See,
You want to hear some hot fire real quick that I don't actually think is going to happen, but I think it is a crazy scenario that is just fun to think about. They moved Justin Herbert and they draft JJ McCarthy here. They reset their quarterback room with their entire cleaning of house.
the
JJ
guy that
McCarthy
Harbaugh
comes in the
knows.
NFL to Jim Harbaugh, and they get a haul for Justin Herbert.
Who would he go to? Who do you think? That's interesting.
So
One of these
Because he has
teams. Think about him in Minnesota with O'Connell.
That'd be pretty nasty.
They got
And
2
those wide
firsts, right?
receivers.
You give up 2 firsts, you go get Justin Herbert. You've got your quarterback for the next 10 years, and you roll. Like
it'd probably be 3 firsts, probably.
I'm just
for
saying,
a known commodity.
It would be something, but
Yeah.
worth it for 1, and 2. While it's crazy, and I don't think it's going to happen, it's not a crazy idea in the sense that it wouldn't make sense for the Chargers in a lot of ways.
That is interesting. I was gonna make a pick here that's gonna make me mad. Or
It's not.
actually-
I mean, I can't say you're an idiot.
no, because there's connections. Harbaugh knows his work ethic. Harbaugh's worked with him. He knows what he has. So I mean, you want to talk about insider trading? This is the most insider trading you could possibly get. You've worked with this guy for the last 3-4 years,
Yep.
and now
what
you can possibly work with him.
2.
2. Okay. Yeah. See, there you go. 2 years. So you've got a feel on him. It'd be a steal at this position, like you said. I mean, imagine you traded, like you said, with the Vikings. That means you get 2 more picks. So, Jesus, you could get a left tackle. You could go out and get a wide receiver you want. That would, dynamically change everything. It'd be interesting. I was gonna say, I think they forfeit this year. I think the Chargers are just gonna forfeit. They're not gonna take Naj playing. But I'd love that outcome. No, I still think if they stay on the board and they keep Herbert, this is where Marvin Harrison goes. That's what I'd say, because he's phenomenal. And with Herbert, that's nasty. Makes me sad because they're gonna do great.
Clean house,
Especially-
wide receiver room, that's for sure.
I would not.
All their guys are gone.
I would not want to see him in a Chargers jersey.
No, it would be ugly, but God, he would make us look bad. I mean,
That's
ooh,
gross.
He would. Marvin's good. Yeah, that's one of those. It's like, ooh.
Why would you be worried, Pinky? We have Pat Surtain. We're fine, right? Everything should be just dandy.
What way to kick a man when he's down, Caleb?
Pat Surtain can't cover them all.
I mean,
Pat
I'm
Surtain can't cover
wearing
them
the
all.
apparel, all right? Like, tell me I'm a hater all you want, but it's still my team. So deal with it.
After the Chiefs trade their number 1 corner, yeah, that could be nasty too. That could be
Yeah.
bad. Raiders, yeah.
Raiders don't have any corners, I don't think.
I know that's what I was say. I don't think they do either. So Marvin
think they're
Harris
still working on
ooh,
it.
they just going to the AFC West made me a Hall of Famer. Woohoo!
All right, so that means I'm up. I got to scroll down a little bit. Hold on, let me get the. I'm down. Why is the screen not coming down?
We might be able to spit some hot fire, but we cannot work technology for a damn.
The McCarthy thing, that is interesting.
On this laptop is just not like I'm over here. I've got the sidebar and it won't scroll down.
Another interesting hot fire thing I just saw tonight too is the Chiefs would trade with the Rams to get up to 19 to get Xavier Worthy. Pink and I both think he'll be there later, but there was rumors of that, and I was like, I don't know. I think we got to kind of sit and get talent where we can because we need a lot.
The crazy thing about Worthy is he could be this year's excuse me, he could be this year's Tank Dell.
Yeah, which would be crazy.
Or he could be this year's John Ross.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not I just don't know about him yet because that Texas offense was so inconsistent as a whole. And for all the so-called weapons they had, they couldn't really put points up on the board the way you would expect them to. So,
yep.
Yeah, I'm just, you look at his film, you're like, yeah, dude looks like he can run routes, and yeah, he's fast, but why do I just walk away going, I'm just not sold? Like, what am I missing?
We watched the Raiders do it, right? What did the Raiders do for years? Draft the fastest player. And then how many of those guys panned out?
There we go. I was able to get it to move a little bit. There we go.
Attaboy. Yeah, I mean, there was one recently here that I'm still bummed about just because of the entire situation. Like, everything about it makes me sad, is Henry Ruggs.
Oh, yeah.
And I do believe he had a bright future ahead of him. I think we were starting to see some flashes there right before everything hit, and I think that was one that would have panned out, but we'll never know. So there's a track record there of failure for sure.
Yep.
Pinky, Giants at 6. What are we doing?
Oh man, at this point, I think they're still stuck with Daniel Jones for this season.
Oh, no, they're not stuck. They're happily rolling with, and so they're fine. So what are you doing to help Mr. Jones find?
Well, there's Neighbors and Odunze, and I like both of them.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think you could go wrong. With Daniel Jones, I think Neighbors would be a better match because you could put the ball in his hands at 5 yards and he can take it to the house. So Malik Neighbors would be the guy.
I like that. I don't hate that at all. They need playmakers. The defense might actually be kind of solid, potentially, if the offense can do something for them. The offensive line is still a giant freaking question mark for them, so they're going to have to address that for sure. But
thankfully, they get Andrew Thomas back, and he should be healthy this season, hopefully.
Right.
They have Evan Neal,
who played pretty solid.
Evan Neal, second half, he got better.
Right. I mean, so they have potential there. So I like getting a playmaker, which they haven't had in 6-7 years.
They really need
it. Jay left. I mean, they really need a
guy
back. So yeah,
they need a number one guy they can count on.
I like it.
All right, that's you at 7.
So
with the Tennessee Titans,
I'm debating here, okay? Because
you debate for a second. The Titans have put in sneaky. They've put in a lot of work in free agency. Like if you pull up what they've done in free agency,
go ahead.
Lloyd Cushenberry. They just traded for L'Jarius Sneed. They just got another wide receiver. Which wide receiver signed with the Titans? Why am I drawing a blank?
Oh, you're right. It is someone halfway decent. Yeah.
Come on.
I'm just drawing a blank. I don't have it. I don't have the website up.
I'll pull it.
Hey, I'll wait then. I'll let Andy grab it so you both can go, aha.
I mean, if you know it, just tell us, bro, because I can't pull up another webpage since I'm already on this one.
No, I'm drawing a blank
I guess
as well. So I was going to let you guys aha. It's a number 1.
No fan.
It's just growth.
I'm drawing a blank as well. But I remember thinking that was interesting.
Yeah, Andy's Google.
Oh, Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. That's right. That's who it was.
Yeah,
They
so
gave him
DeAndre
so much
Hopkins,
money.
Jalen Burks.
They did. You pair him with Treylon Burks from a couple years ago,
DeAndre.
who still think there's some potential there. You've got Will Levis, who showed some flashes there. Entire new coaching staff to try and help him, supposedly. The offensive line is halfway decent.
That offensive line needs help.
I'm not saying they won't draft offensive line here. Okay, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, in this draft, they're not going to do it here, but I think they will address it in this draft. But I think they're good enough where they can take another playmaker here to help open up the middle of the field. And the fact that he's talked about in the light that he is going forward, you're looking at a possible Laporta 2.0 here. Brock Bowers is going to come over to the Tennessee Titans and help that offense be a little bit more dangerous.
Ooh, that would be sexy. That would suck for Chief. But yeah, Brock Bowers would be insane. There's not a team.
I think they're going to tackle, but I
they
don't hate it.
Like I said,
They need a tight end.
The offensive line going here. I think they definitely address it in the draft, but this isn't the same old Tennessee Titans.
No.
Is my thought process. And adding another weapon like that only make sure that Ridley and Burks aren't necessarily double teamed. So let's see how that opens up the game book a little bit there.
That'd be such a huge.
And they did
boost
get Tony
to that
Pollard
offense.
as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
So-
pretty sexy. Yeah, that would be a interesting offense right there, right off the bat.
Well, Andy, that means you get your second or third favorite team. I don't know where to
favorite
rank
team,
them.
yeah, the Falcons
behind the
yeah,
Chiefs.
Chiefs, Lions, Falcons. Yeah. So this is interesting. So with the way everything's worked out, I mean, you want to talk about stacking talent. I would say they go Odunze. So you now have just phenomenal talent for
Yeah.
Titans.
That's
just
gross.
ridiculous.
That's just
I mean,
gross.
The
And I
fact
don't
that
hate
they
that at
get
all.
Odunze, whoa.
I mean, let's think about it. Offensive line, solid.
Good.
Defense.
Running back.
Everybody thinks that defense is going to be improved with a better offensive play calling situation and even be able to show out more. They already have.
They
weapons.
really do need a pass rusher, though.
They could use one.
Yeah.
They could, but I mean, let's be honest. If you're putting your offense in those situations like Andy's talking about with that kind of weapon on the outside, along with everything else you already have, it's going to ease up the ability for your defense to pass rush if you're playing ahead all the time rather than behind. So I'm an offensive guy personally, even though I love defense in the trenches. I love that pick for Atlanta. That's scary. On the other side of London and Pitts and Bijan and Algier.
It's just, yeah. So that's what I'd say with that. It's because it gets it to the point where, again, like we've seen now, they just like we've talked about, they've really switched things up to an offensive minded game. And Pink knows I still love the old school, good defense, pound the ball, but it has changed. I mean, the Chiefs have definitely said, like, this is what you do to win games. And everybody, just like we've talked about, the NFL is a copycat league. Once somebody finds something that works, but I mean, they're stacking talent. I mean, with talent like that, it's starting to get to where there's not so many just horrible teams. So, because it, like Caleb said, like the Chiefs, that was their motto, right? Get up on a team. Now they can't do their game plan. Everything changes to what you want. So, yeah.
All right. I guess that's back to me with Chicago. And Chicago's really pissed off that Odunze and Neighbors both went. Because I think they would have loved to have either one of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's
Keenan
funny is
Allen's fun and all,
if
but-
the draft falls the way we think it will with some of these moves at the top there, one of those three receivers should be on the board still for the Bears.
Correct. With trades.
Right.
Because JJ McCarthy would have gone. You know what I mean? So, or Brock Bowers, which, again, I don't understand with the amount of tight end talent coming into the league right now. More teams don't run two tight end sets with two wide receivers. Why they always feel they have to, the split guy has to be a wide receiver and not a tight end. I don't get that, but another conversation for another day, I guess. Sorry.
Well, I think with those three guys off the board, think the best option is, again, you've got Caleb Williams, you've got Keenan Allen, you've got DJ Moore. You draft the tackle last year. I think we're going to go ahead and draft Fashanu. I'm probably not saying that right, from Penn State, who
Yeah, he's good.
Yep.
Fasanu, yeah.
actually played high school football with Caleb Williams.
Yes,
So
he did.
let's get
And
his high school buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
That's
got
a
to
guy-
do
And
something
now
for the offensive
Caleb
line.
Williams-
They have weapons.
Caleb might be like almost the best. He may be in the best position a number one pick has ever been in when it comes to a quarterback. Like, most quarterbacks don't get drafted to a team that has all of these weapons already around it. The last time was Andrew Luck, although the offensive line was not very good, but he had weapons and he made them all look good. That's the last guy I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here you go, Caleb. You get, I think, one of your teams to root for because you love Aaron Rodgers. So
I do
got the
like me
Jets.
some Aaron. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's a misconception a little bit for whatever reason about Aaron Rodgers wanting to throw the ball 1,000 times a game to win. He actually prefers a running game and relying on his accuracy and decision making and some of his playmaking ability that he's known for. And he'll throw
what's he
25, 30
really-
times, maybe. Go ahead.
his play action is nasty.
Exactly. So I think, especially with Breece Hall being an absolute beast by all accounts right now and just fine coming off of that knee injury, I really like Fuaga here and making sure that that offensive line, which is kind of fingers crossed stays healthy, going to be pretty solid already. Adding a beast like that to that unit and just making sure that that run game can dominate pretty much anyone it wants to, and then letting Rodgers kind of pick them apart from there, because Aaron's been known to be able to do it with lesser known receivers. So you've got Garrett Wilson and whatever else you want behind that and Breece Hall. I think you're going to be in really good shape if that offensive line can dominate. So again, it's really hard for me to go away from the trenches, especially if I see that the team could use it in any shape, way, or form. So there could be a theme coming for a lot of my picks, but I love that pick there.
They
That is
did
a great
pick
pick for
up
them.
Morgan Moses, and then I could have swore they signed another tackle as well.
Wasn't it Smith from Dallas?
Yes,
Tyrion.
and Tyron
Tyrion
Smith.
Smith.
So they have the tackles now. Again, those guys are older, so
Yeah.
this is still a good pick. I do think. I mean, their defense is so loaded already.
Exactly.
Feel like they could even be like, let's draft J.J. McCarthy and sit him on the bench for a year or two while we let Rodgers do his thing.
I
But
feel like if you do that, then you're proven to be the same as the Packers and you got cold feet and you wanted to build for the future while still trying to win in the current, and that never works.
Yeah.
Ever. So Fuaga and the Jets look kind of scary, dangerous again in the AFC.
all right, so Andy, you are up with the Vikings.
Well, this is the
And
funny
if
thing.
the
So
board fell this way, I think they'd be super happy.
yeah, because they get JJ McCarthy.
No, they're going to get weapons from a boy Darnold, right?
No.
No.
Oh, goodness.
They've got their number one. No, just kidding. But yeah, I think JJ, if they do this, they'd be going ape shit because then they get to keep both their firsts. They go crazy.
I mean, could you imagine if this is how it really fell? It'd be
they'd be through the roof.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, take a walk with me, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think
We're
the
moving.
Broncos are going to get
Moving.
Terran Arnold and do a repeat like Caleb said and not get a quarterback and go corner again.
Jesus.
Well, since we're not doing this, board actually falls really well for the Broncos
Yeah.
because I do think they would be happy to take Bo Nix, but I do think they want Bo Nix at like 20, 22, 25. Like, I don't think they
trade
want
down?
him at pick 12.
Yeah,
They
you
need
could trade down. Yeah,
to trade some extra picks. It's a risk. Now, is trading down and picking up more picks and picking up more good players and having to roll with Stidham, which really hurts saying, a better deal than taking Nix at 12 and you still don't have all the players you need? So there's a risk, but I think this would be the place that the Broncos would absolutely trade back if they could get out. Because all these defensive players, if you think Latu is going to be the best pass rusher or Dallas Turner or Jared Verse, you're going to want to come get him. And the Broncos have the pick. Now, the other option, or at least a couple of the trade scenarios, I did see someone throw out something about the Eagles at 22 trading up to the Broncos spot if one of those tackles was still there. Fuaga,
there's a tackle sitting
still
right there
there.
the Broncos should take.
Yeah.
And,
There is.
if with what's happening with Garrett Bowles, that's exactly what they're going to do in this scenario where I can't trade. So,
I actually think if they stayed there at 12 and drafted Fatanu, I wouldn't be mad about that at all. I think he's a great, another 10 to 12 year left tackle, right? Like,
so if the Broncos got Futuana here, let's say they stay, get him, do they trade up with someone else back in the first and get Bo Nix? Or do you think
they could do that, but you've got to trade. You're going to trade next year's first for sure if you're trading back in. And you're probably having to trade.
You're not trading a first if you're trading with the Chiefs. You're trading like a second and maybe a fourth or a fifth.
Well, the Broncos don't have a second this year.
Okay. Well, we take picks next year. We showed that to the Titans. So, like,
facts.
Yeah.
Pinky, would you rather have Nix over Penix?
Yeah. I was going to say.
I probably would based on the accuracy. Penix's accuracy on the shorter stuff is not as good, and for what Peyton runs, it's short, quick
strikes,
rhythm stuff. Penix, if we were doing more deep stuff, then Penix would be the guy. Like, I don't think anybody in this draft throws a better deep ball than Penix, including Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams throws some more like off-platform stuff that none of these guys can do, but his deep ball is not quite where Penix's is. So is Penix a good consolation prize? Absolutely, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, we won a game with Jarrett Stidham. We can win a few games with Jarrett Stidham. I feel like, if you give Sean Payton Spencer Rattler, I think we could win a couple games. So I just think that Nix is probably, from the guys that are going to be available, the guy that would fit the offense the best. But at this point, man, like, I'll take the trade back, take a couple good players, and punt on quarterback this year, and I'll endure for Shedeur. So I'd be more than happy.
That's a good one, endure for Shedeur.
I stole that from somebody else. I can't take credit for it.
Oh, okay.
But
I was like, that's cool.
It's a good one.
Suck for luck. That was a good one.
It's a good one.
So yeah.
So
that's good.
But yeah, I'm all on the. I don't like, if we suck this year, which we're probably going to anyways. Let's just turn. We're starting to burn it all down. Get rid of the players that haven't helped us win. Let's get players that will help us win. And
yeah.
So we got to replace. We got to replace Garrett Bowles. I don't think our right.
Well, he's a better Garrett. He's way better than Garrett Bowles.
I still don't think our right. Well, no, we've got McGlinchey for a little while. So yeah, we need to replace Bowles though. All right. Before we get too depressed, let's move on to the Raiders. And the Raiders are they are so happy right now. They are so happy.
Why?
Because they need corner help in the worst way, and all the best corners are still on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I'm not believing the hype. I don't believe the hype that they want a quarterback. I think they're think they'd be more than happy to roll with Aiden O'Connell.
I don't give a shit about any of these corners because I think cornerback is a slightly overrated position in the NFL. I think with the pass rush that they're going to have next year, now that they finally got a dude opposite the beast that is Crosby, it's going to be even scarier, and they can address that position later on in the draft. I think you're right. They're going to roll with O'Connell for the time being. This is a team, though, that I could see trading back up into the first round for Penix and getting that fifth-year option. So keep that in mind as we move forward. But there's a wide receiver still on the board here that I think really fits what Pierce is trying to do there with that team and can be a beast opposite Adams and open up that offense a little bit for him. And I like grabbing Robinson here. Maybe a slight reach, but there is talk.
Robinson,
Some people like him as the best receiver. Some people like him as the best receiver in this draft.
Who?
Now, I'm sorry. I said
Brian
Robinson.
Thomas?
I meant Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas.
Okay.
LSU.
Yeah,
I
I
said
apologize.
Robinson.
I said Robinson. I did.
Robinson.
That's my fault. That's my fault. I don't know why I said Robinson. Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
And there is talk of people liking him as the best receiver in this draft. So you pair him with Devontae Adams, it opens up the offense a little more. Again, in the NFL, in today's game, if you play from ahead and you have a pass rush, what you have in the secondary doesn't necessarily matter as much. So let's put some pressure out there. If you really want to roll with O'Connell, it's been proven before. If you're not going to give a quarterback weapons, you're never going to find out what he really is. Correct. So let's make sure that offense finally has some true weapons. Devontae Adams can finally be Devontae Adams again because he's not going to get doubled. And let's roll.
Yeah. That's
I really want to hate that, Caleb, but I can't even hate it. Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to you. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen because that would make the Raiders pretty good.
Yeah.
And we can always agree. You can always go into Chiefs Stadium wearing Broncos stuff and say F the Raiders, and they'll love you. So
there you go. Absolutely.
Pinky just never gets hate, dude. No matter where we go, Pinky never gets hate, dude. I'm so like, Jesus, please, like, let him feel what it's like to get hate like I've gotten from the Broncos fans. He just doesn't. Dude, everybody loves him. Pinky walk around like, fuck Chiefs. Like, flick everybody off. And everybody's just like, woo, we're so glad you're here, Pinky. Like,
yeah, man. You know, it happens. It happens.
Just some people, man. He's got fan privilege, and I hate it.
Goodness.
It's my dashing good looks, my friend.
Absolutely.
Can't argue with it because it works. I've seen it. I've been there. I've tried to argue with people. I'm like, don't like him. And they're like, no, he's good, dude.
I'm getting live play-by-play in those moments. So I'm right there with Andy. The man knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Now, does Andy know what he's doing here at Pick 14 with the Saints? Because there's a lot of options and they have a lot of holes.
Yeah,
they're super happy.
Issues. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a place, too. I mean, I just don't know how much. I mean, how much do they really like Carr? I don't feel like they do.
No.
Well, they're tied to him this year.
Yeah.
But they don't like their coaching staff either, and they signed them to a 2-year extension. So, I don't know what they're doing down there in New Orleans.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to finally wait for all the books to get better. They're like, we just gotta just let everything go. We'll pay Kamara, and that's it. Everything else just doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, right here, you would talk about they could take like a Nix or a Penix, and it wouldn't be crazy, right? No one would be like, okay, cool, yeah, all right. Yeah, I have no idea. I was gonna say, I know they always like defense. They've always tried to keep that Saints defense going, but dude, they have so many issues. They need wide receiver talent. So I mean, you're talking about
they'd be really mad right now that Brian Thomas is gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say he would be one that hurts, but also they need to build that O-line, right? Because Terron Armstead's gone. He's been gone for 2 years now. So This is a spot that, like we've talked about, if you're really going to try and build, I agree with Caleb. I do believe the trenches is the only place that you can build that actually makes a noticeable impact. Best thing, too, about building the trenches is if you have a good O-line, they make an average quarterback look good. So this is where, I would say smart move, they get J.C. Latham. They get a guy, they bring him in, powerful, durable, and he can be nasty, which Saints, we've seen over the years, don't mind getting nasty. So
Now,
that's where
they
I'd
need
say
a
they have
pass
to go.
rusher too.
Oh, dude, they need
So that all
everything.
the
like
best
we
pass
talked
rushers
about.
are on the board as well.
Oh yeah.
So
So again, Dallas Turner makes a lot of sense, but again, you add a pass rusher to a team that doesn't have an offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that's my thing too. Is even if the rules weren't bent so much towards the offense these days, I would still lean that way because you look at, oh, I don't know, like Ndamukong Suh coming into the league with the Lions, and you take him with the number 2 overall pick and think he's going to be dominant. Well, when your offense is awful and you're always playing from behind, and all he does is deal with the run 85% of the time, it completely negates what that pass rusher is trying to do. So it's tough to grab pass rushers when you don't have an offense to at least make sure they're not on the field 24/7.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that pick at all for the Saints. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing like we talked about. There's a lot of teams that really have to create an identity, and the Saints right now do not have an identity. And the easiest way to get an identity is to give your running back lanes and to give your quarterback time.
Sure.
So that's it.
Absolutely. Now, this next pick, Pinky, I'm very interested to see where you go because they actually are a sneaky good team, and I'm real excited. I hope he can stay healthy for the full season next year to see what Anthony Richardson can do with Steichen and that offense. They've got weapons. The offensive line is still solid. The defense wasn't bad either, so they can kind of go luxury here almost to an extent. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I know that they play in the AFC South, and the AFC South has a team on the rise called the Houston Texans with a superstar quarterback in CJ Stroud, and they're going to need folks to either cover or chase them down. And you know what? They're getting Andy's Bama boy, Dallas Turner.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
All right.
I don't hate that at all. Yeah.
And the fact that we went 15 picks without a defensive player is pretty crazy. Like that's pretty crazy.
And the likelihood of it happening is probably slim to none.
Makes
but when I
sense.
think about it, it does. When you really lay it out and the reasoning why, I think that's the way it should go this year. But that pick, cheers, my guy.
Yeah.
Because they've got some solid linebackers. Their secondary is average to above average, maybe.
That was the other part, like Terrion Arnold,
in the corner,
Quentin Mitchell.
You could go corner, but again,
but...
and I'll keep saying it. If you have a pass rush, your average corners become above average to maybe great.
Yeah.
So
they just don't have to cover. Like, Trayvon Diggs, I don't actually think is that good of a corner, but the fact that he's got Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence,
exactly,
he doesn't have to be as good in coverage.
Exactly.
Well, when you jam, you also negate certain routes. So you can force a guy to go outside, which takes an extra second or two for him to get open. So,
and it also helps if your fundamentals aren't very solid, if you can jam at the line of scrimmage and it's almost a cheat code a little bit to avoid some of your flaws. So,
it is.
Yeah, guys like that can get away with it.
Hence the reason why the Chiefs always put that motion guy. Always got the motion guy. Can't jam a motion guy.
Hence Richard Sherman possibly being a Hall of Famer for only playing one side of the field.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, So, but I like the edge there, especially for the Colts.
Yeah.
I think the Seahawks are another very interesting team here because they don't have a lot of holes. They've done some really good drafting the last couple of years. Pinky and I have talked about it ad nauseum at times, it feels like. How they went from seemingly not knowing how to do anything after being great at it to getting back to great at it. Like, it's just really crazy. So, the board falls like this. I feel like what they should be looking at is based on what they've decided to do right now is not
where
go
I'm going
back. I would be looking at an edge here. I like Jared Verse for them in Seattle.
Oh, that'd be I like Jared Verse a lot. Make me sad, but
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of I think their secondary is really good with Witherspoon and they did cut both their safeties, but I think the corners have been pretty solid.
Yeah.
And the linebackers are good, but they need some help on that front seven. I think
O-line solid.
That going
offensive weapons are solid.
It's all luxury for them. It seems like.
Right. And if you're rolling with Locke and Geno again to see if you can make something out of Locke long term and let Geno kind of have another year.
No, buddy.
Oh, Locke left.
You know
Locke?
what's happening? It's
What?
Geno. Geno's only going to play half the season. I'm calling it right now.
Okay.
Because Sam Howell's going to play.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. You're absolutely right. I totally forgot about that move, and I was in love with that move when it first happened. You're absolutely right. I think Sam Howell is going to be really good for them, and they do have weapons. So yes, thank you, Pinky. I totally.
Sam Howell
I can't believe I
with a
forgot about that.
horrible O-line.
Yeah,
Sam Howell with a horrible O-line almost went for 4,000 yards.
I could actually see Sam Howell
Seahawks
starting the
O-line's
season
actually pretty good.
with Geno backing him up. I could see that happening. So, I love the Jared Verse move here for them, and let's go and see what Seattle can do because they got a whole new coaching staff too. So there's a lot of change and some scary potential coming out that Northwest.
Right. And they have a defensive coach, so I think this move actually really probably goes along with exactly what they're going to be doing, trying to change their identity.
Absolutely. Oh, we got a run on defensive guys, Pinky.
Yep. But that's how it always goes, right?
That's because the offensive guys are down the board now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But again, like we said, this, you really sit down and think about it. It makes sense to lay it out this way.
Yeah.
And
all right, Andy,
even with trades, it could still lay out where we go offensive heavy the first 10 to 12 picks.
Right. Actually, I don't see it. The only defensive player I think would be, I do think Atlanta would grab Dallas Turner at 8.
I could see that, or
they just don't have any pass rush.
I could see them grabbing Terry and Arnold as well at 8 potentially, but
I think
it's not what I would do.
Corners are still pretty good. Right. So, all right, Andy, you get Jacksonville at 17, and I don't know what they are anymore.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So I was trying to look up some stuff on them. So a lot of the mocks have them getting an edge guy, but in some of it, so they have them, and I love this guy, and I was hoping he would fall further, but Chop Robinson, and I love him to death. So that's one of the guys I enjoy. I also like Lealtu a lot too, but they tag, so they keep Allen, and they still have Trayvon Walker, so they got their 2 defensive ends, and they're 4-3. So if they put get your Willie or Sam, that would be pretty cool. So, but the thing is, they also need a lot of offensive help too. But like we've seen, when you look at the talent, if you're going to go offensive at this point, you're kind of taking a reach with some of this defensive talent that's left. Like there's some really, really talented defensive players there. So
yeah,
that's where I think if you go any offense, you've gone pretty far down. So, and they've drafted pretty heavy in the offensive line, right? The last 2 years, I remember. Haven't they been picking up guys there? Or?
Here and there, they're kind of showing holes.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest question there is you lose Ridley. You don't replace him with anybody. There's not going to be one of those top guys on the board at this point.
You're hoping to get someone in the second.
You bring in Gabe Davis. Can you make Gabe Davis, the next Christian Kirk, and they can both ball out and be those 1B, 2 type guys that are really good. They're just not extraordinary. But what you have in ETN, and if you think Trevor Lawrence is that special, you're trying to almost reenact what Casey's doing to an extent.
Yeah, Evan Ingram's awesome.
And that's where I was going to go, because then you have Evan Ingram. So you're trying to almost emulate what Casey's done. Yeah. You fill holes other places to try and beef up those areas of need. There's some places there where you can do that, but are any of these guys game changers or just hole fillers? And that's where this area of the board to me gets really interesting.
Yeah, because I see him getting Lealtu. I mean, I could see him doing a couple different things. I mean, getting a D tackle fits Jacksonville, how they normally play defense. But it just, like you said, they've got to shut things down. I mean, the Chargers and all that stuff, they've got to start shutting down some of these guys. And that's where I think they double up on the rush. So that's where I'd say Chop Robinson here. I'd say fits what they want to do from Penn State.
You would make me scroll way down the board.
Yeah, can you find him, Pinky?
He's here, but he's
right here. Search. Go to search, yeah.
They reached just a little bit, maybe, given
'Cause
what's
again-
on the board. But again, what you like over what somebody else likes
Is everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So
And Liatu plays in a 3-4 and they run a 4-3.
right,
So it's kind of
Right.
changes things a little bit. Is he
Yep, and
is
Chop
he
can-
really is Liatu really an edge at the NFL level, or is he more of a D tackle?
correct. Or like playing end. But Chop can put his hand in the ground. So a 4-3, whenever you load it, you go like a monster set, the Sam goes on the line. But Chop can play with his hand in the dirt. So and Liatu's, he's a 2-point stance guy. So again, it just like you said, D coordinator is going to get whichever guy he thinks offers the most, versatility for his team. And that's why I think
Sure.
Chop for them would fit it.
I like it.
Bengals.
I
heard they're giving up as a team. Or they're just turning.
Are they going to be smart, Pinky? Because
The
there's a guy on the
Bengals-
board that I really like still, but I don't think the Bengals would be smart enough to do this.
Well, there's two guys. I mean, to me, they still need some corner help. But man, they need a guy opposite of when I think one of the better free agent pickups of the last like 5 to 10 years in Trey Hendrickson. They need somebody on the other side. And I think Latu would be a good
they
fit.
run a 3-4, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd fit. He'd fit very well. Which is
I don't
scary.
hate that. I think their defense is solid enough, though. I like Jackson Powers Johnson, and the Bengals finally help Burrow just a little bit more.
So that was they've got a lot of money on that O line right now. That
because you could take your current center
again-
and move him to one of the guard positions and allow Powers Johnson to run the center and kind of seamlessly just keep rolling there. I just feel like they keep trying to patchwork that offensive line, and it just quite hasn't worked all the way to where they need it to.
I love they got the Chiefs guy and he didn't do anything good. I was like,
Yeah, I mean, that's like, geez, dude. Help Burrow out just a little bit here. Like,
oh, I know.
golly. So Rams are ecstatic here
Yeah.
because they have their choice of the D tackles at the top of the board. And with Donald retiring, it's a need, it's a hole. I would actually take Jackson Powers Johnson here if it wasn't for the resurgence of that offense last year. And we did talk about how this O-line draft is fairly deep in a lot of regards. So they can kind of add to that later in the draft if they'd like to. Which D tackle do you like here? Newton's at the top of the board. I like what he did at Illinois. That defense was underrated. The team overall just wasn't great.
I mean,
but he was
I like
great at
Murphy
stuffing
a
the
lot.
run. I
Murphy
do
would be
like
my
Murphy
number
a
one.
lot
Yeah.
out of Texas.
Yeah.
I like Murphy a lot out of Texas, Pinky. I won't lie about that at all. But I think Newton coming out of the Big Ten, shades of that hard-nosed football that you saw from Donald in the Big East at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think he is underrated because he played on a team that isn't as good. I think there's a lot of similarities to Donald there. Is he going to be as good? Is he as good? No, I'm not trying to say that at all. But I think Murphy's kind of the hot name. I think Newton is slightly a little bit better fundamentals immediately and has just as much potential. So I'm going to go Newton here. And a lot of it has to do with his ability to stuff the run. So see how that plays out there. But don't hate Murphy at all, dude. Love that potential there as well.
Yeah.
All right, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, they should be ecstatic, right?
Yeah. This is where I think Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah.
They have to. I mean, they've
Yeah,
got a good center.
dude.
Yeah. So they get their guy. That would be huge for them.
That'd be gift wrap right there for sure.
Oh yeah. But I mean,
What
you're
is
talking about
going
that's the
on?
funniest thing about the draft is every year a player that was picked to go in like top 10, top 15 drops to almost the second round.
Yeah.
So somebody that we think is so cool and awesome, they're all sliding on him. And it's always crazy. Every year it happens. And some of them turn out and some of them don't. So that's why I'm always so
Agreed.
interested. So that's what's always so crazy about the draft is it's fun having that nerd out moment. but also at the same point in time realizing there's going to be something out of this. Like probably 4 guys or 5 that we've already talked about end up being busts.
Well, not just that. By the time we do our final mock a couple days before the draft actually starts, there's going to be a couple trades that move this a little bit too, where you pretty much know who's slotted in once that trade is set.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get obviously some movement for sure.
Yep. And again, let's say people trade a guy, a team we thought gets a wide receiver, and someone trades them a wide receiver to move up. So you're like, well, now wide receiver they can kind of wait on it. Like, so yeah, it's always fun. I enjoy it.
So I'm interested to see what you do here with the Dolphins, Pinky, because I think there's a guy on the board right now that kind of fits exactly what they need for a couple different reasons. But you tell me what you're looking at here.
Well, I'm still trying to get this thing to work.
You got Jackson Powers. Oh, you scrolling. Okay, I got you.
All right. I mean, the Dolphins need a little bit of everything. They had quite a few guys they had to get rid of on defense. I think they need a corner. And they need they need O-line too.
They need a lot of O-line.
But they need a lot. So
corner they definitely do. O-line they definitely do. But again, it's just like you said, where does the coach go? Does he value protecting Tua? Or does he think, a defense that limits points? I mean, dude, it's tough.
So I hear what both of you are saying, and I don't disagree at all. But again, I think the offensive line is a little deep, and you could address it a little bit later in the draft.
Yeah.
And I think you build the middle out. And if you're not going to go line help or linebacker help, I think Cooper DeJean could be your all-pro safety in the middle of that defense for many years.
Which they need bad.
They do need a safety. I'm not sure if Xavier Howard's coming back or not. I'm not sure what.
Did you just draft Cooper DeJean?
Yeah, I thought that's who you said you wanted.
Isn't it your pick?
Was that not who you wanted?
It's
your pick.
Oh, yeah, this is my pick. That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
I mean, they need a lot.
Any pick you give the Dolphins is a good pick. So, yeah.
This next pick is interesting because of all the moves they've made over the last 3 years now, counting this year as year 3. So basically becoming Georgia North in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense is crazy loaded. I don't know how you get any more loaded on that offense than what it is really right now.
So they're really sad that Jackson Powers Johnson's gone.
I was just gonna say now they have a dude that they drafted 2 years ago in Cam Jurgens.
Well, he's moving to center, but he was playing.
Right, but he was a center at Nebraska. He was
guard.
drafted as a center coming out of college. He's a great center.
Right.
So you didn't necessarily need a center. Amarius Mims here is an interesting one because of the versatility it can give that offensive line and moving some guys around depending on where you want him to play his rookie year and things of that nature. So you could just stack that offensive line. You could stack the defense even more and bring.
They do need some corner help.
They need some corner help, but again, I like going trenches. And you put Brian Murphy with those boys there already.
Jesus.
And I'm not quite sure how anybody runs the ball or has enough time to throw it deep, which then your corners can then make up for some of their mistakes. So I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn here. I actually am going to go Brian Murphy because I think what that offense does, they're okay. I do like building from the trenches, and I know they got some dudes already, but I think if you can throw a 3 or 4 man rotation in where guys are going 2 or 3 plays and you have all pros that can then rotate in behind them, people aren't going to be able to do a whole lot on you, period. They're just not. So what you have on the back end and corners doesn't matter as much. So that's where I would go here for the Eagles.
But the amount of coverage it opens up when you can rush 3 and close a pocket, that's
exactly
just ridiculous. And those guys could.
Yeah. Yeah,
Davis, Carter, Murphy. Wow.
it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy.
That'd make me sad. Very sad.
Well, Andy,
No
you
more
get
3
the
feet.
task of helping the Vikings with their second first round pick, since they did not trade and they got JJ McCarthy anyways.
So this is where, again, they need to build. I mean, their O-line definitely needs help. But again, it's just hard to think about what they're going to try and do to be sexy. I mean, they have good wide receiver talent. They've got a great tight end. This is where you could maybe see them make a supply. They could get the best running back they want, right? So they could take anybody they wanted at running back because they definitely need it.
No running backs going first round.
You don't
I
think
agree.
so?
Not this year. No
Yeah.
way.
So for me, I mean, at this point in time, I would say this would be where they take Guyton. I mean, because they've got to get. I mean, Mims is athletic, and that's where he's good. He's on an island a lot. But Guyton's more of like what they do. They keep guys normally on the line. They don't spread out.
Yeah,
the line.
they still
keep
have a left tackle. They have a left tackle and a right tackle.
Yeah,
right
but you
now.
can move one of those
Like,
guys
there's
inside
all those
again.
two
You can
spots.
move.
Yeah.
Well, you're not moving their left tackle because they just got him and he's pretty awesome. So that's
Okay,
not
so-
happening.
Or
So
you
they
start
put Guyton
again.
at
A lot
guard.
of guys
Yeah.
will come into the league as a tackle and start on the inside and then move back
Right.
out. So
I just
Always
think he's
potential.
talented enough. Yeah, that they would get him to add and make it even stronger. Because then their quarterback has more time. He's got beasts up in front. So
don't
and
hate
Oklahoma
that.
pounds the ball.
Sure.
So because now
And
with
I
these
get-
next
and I
picks,
get
they can really
the
start
Cowboys.
getting sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what does Dallas do? Because they're all in, Pinky. They are all in. So how do they make that happen right now?
After missing it last year, they're all in. Quarterback, I think's where they're going to go. There.
Fact. Yeah. They need somebody to sit
Well,
behind Trey
Penix.
Lance on the practice squad.
Penix.
Penix is not a bad idea, actually. But
I think,
theme
well,
of this
like,
draft-
side note, and maybe I'll be crazy for this, but I don't think it is. Trey Lance stays healthy. He's probably the quarterback of the 49ers. We don't see Brock Purdy.
Mhm.
And he now is sat behind Dak Prescott for a couple years. If they do decide to move on from Dak, I think there might be something there. So I don't think Dallas would ever even entertain the idea of a quarterback right now. Just kind of throwing that out there.
I'm not worried. Yeah, I wouldn't draft a quarterback for Dallas right now. They're all in. God,
There's so much
there's a lot of
cornerback talent though,
decisions
right
here,
now.
but you know what? I think it's time to get rid of Diggs, anyways. So
Ooh,
Terry
yeah.
Arnold, come on over.
Don't hate that. Who's their other
Yeah.
corner that
I'm
showed up
a fan of
last
Diggs.
year?
I do like Bland.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Bland.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. He's pretty
Darion
solid.
Bland,
So I
I
think
believe
you
is
can
his
totally
name.
do that.
Yeah.
Now, I think they would be happier with Byron Murphy. I think they would be happier with Jackson Power Johnson as well. I debated Keon Coleman
Sure.
opposite CeeDee Lamb.
There's another guy.
Um,
Scroll down just
I mean,
a
if
little bit.
Brandon
There's
Cooks-
another wide receiver right below him that is kind of a bigger body guy too that could be really good opposite Lamb. Leggett.
Yeah, Donnie Mitchell.
No,
he's
not Mitchell.
He's
way
gonna
down,
go
bro.
Leggett.
He's like third round down. Legette's
I
like
know
third
that's why.
round down.
That's why
He's
I
way
said a
down.
little bit down. I didn't say here. My bad. I didn't mean here. I'm just saying there's a guy a little bit further down that I think could be a good pairing opposite CeeDee Lamb later on. So stretching here for a wide receiver would be, but it would be a Cowboy thing, or they trade out, right? They just don't have a first round pick at all. They just move back this year and they don't
I
do
mean,
anything.
You collect this another second, another third. Like they could use it because they've got to pay Micah, Dak, and CeeDee Lamb.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Good luck, Dallas.
like they need all the young rookie help they can get. So I think if they traded out and got more picks, that'd be pretty damn good. So, and they've been good drafting. So I don't think that's a bad idea.
They have actually. It just hasn't paid off the way they had really hoped it would, unfortunately. So the Packers are
I think that
ecstatic
goes back
here
to the coach,
because,
right?
yeah, well, that is a thing too. Packers are ecstatic because a brilliant wide receiver is still on the board, and now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, that's all they draft. So Keon Coleman, come on. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. They're not going to do that. But
they've got a pretty good receiving core with all the young guys they
they've got
have
a
now.
great receiving core. They've got a couple of good young tight ends. They've got some running backs now, signing Jacobs. Dylan's coming back. They're going to be fine on offense, right? So I could see them doing some offensive linemen later in the draft, kind of shoring up that a little bit. But here, they've got their pick of some of the top cornerbacks in the draft. You snatching Arnold, maybe that was the top guy on their board. You know, a year ago, McKinstry was probably going to be the top cornerback on the board. Mitchell isn't bad either. There's a lot of potential there, but a smaller school. I'm going to go McKinstry here. Green Bay likes Alabama corners and interesting names. They're going to continue that. Yeah. They're going to continue that here and help that defense, which already has a lot of talent, but has underperformed a lot until the playoffs hit all of a sudden. Shore that up even more to go with that offense that I think is going to be dangerous.
Right? Like, what a golden opportunity.
All right. And you get Tampa Bay.
So they had them getting offensive, like going through and getting a O lineman. I've seen a lot of the mocks, and I was like, huh. Like, so they're needing interior guys. So that's where I was like, Mims is a guy on an island. Trying to think, Barton's good. He would be a center. Yeah, I'd say
He's
Barton's
a
the
center
best.
or guard.
Yeah, center guard. Yeah, I'd say Barton. That's who they're gonna go for because they have to build the inside, and he could do both. So if they have someone else they like in mind to play center, or, he can play guard or center. So
this is a team I fully believe trades out of the first round completely this year, just based on what's going to be available at their round, their position in the draft. I just don't see them. I see them trying to collect and add depth overall rather than try to reach here.
Right. Which I think a lot of these teams on the back end could probably do. But
Absolutely.
So, and the Cardinals did not get a wide receiver at 4, so they need one now.
yeah,
And I like 3 of these guys. Feel like the one that's going to match up. Oh, it's tough. I think the one that they need the most is Keon Coleman. So come on over. And the Bills are mad because I think the Bills would love Keon Coleman as well. I watched Keon Coleman a lot at Florida State. I loved his tape. He's a big playmaker. I think he'd go higher in most drafts.
I like Keon Coleman a lot. Yeah.
I think he'd go higher in most drafts.
I don't hate that.
He just has to be in a draft that there's a lot of really good guys.
Yeah. I agree. I fully agree. I actually think the Bills are going to be ecstatic, though, because I think the next guy here going off the board has true wide receiver 1 potential in the modern NFL here as a big body. There's some concerns with his aggressiveness, maybe at the height of the ball, if you will. Another kind of maybe disappointment in that Texas offense as a whole. But the Bills are going to give another weapon to Josh Allen on the outside and go with Donnie Mitchell here.
Yeah, buddy. I love it.
which would be scary. Yeah, that'd be really good for the Bills.
I also think another big body.
Hang on, wait. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong here, please. But I am curious about this because I still need to go watch a little more. But does Keon Coleman give shades of another former Florida State dude who I absolutely love and think is way underrated in Anquan Bolden?
He's faster than
I don't know.
Bolden.
Yeah, I saw more deep stuff for him. Not
Okay.
quite the possession, but
Yeah, because he's a
Um,
6'3". He's big bodied. Like he is. He's
I was
good.
going to say, from some of the stuff I've seen, he's not afraid to get hit. So,
No.
depending on how you want to use him in your offense, he could become a Bolden type. I don't know why. He just kind of gives me shades of that for some reason. So, for the Cardinals, especially with what they're going to try to do, man, that could be perfect going back a little bit. But I also love Adonai Mitchell. I think true number one potential there. Shades of George Pickens almost. Because he might be the most talented in the draft, but there's a lot of question marks surrounding certain things within his game. And so people are wondering what could be there. So that works perfect when you already have Stephon Diggs on the opposite side. Where does your second favorite team go here, Andy?
buddy.
Because they definitely need a defensive help more than anything, right? And there's
Yeah.
that talent available here right now.
Yeah, I'd say Quinion Mitchell. They have to take the next best talent. I like him a little bit more than Wiggins. Wiggins is really good too. I mean, Wiggins or Mitchell would be great. I mean, honestly, it's whatever they matches the Dan Campbell, style of in your face. So I'd say Mitchell plays it. He's a fast guy, but they have to have corner help. They've got to get better corner play, and with better corner play, it changes a lot of what they can do.
Love it. Love it.
Oh man.
What do you do? There's, what's funny is I don't know if there's ever been a draft that I can personally remember where there's as many teams as there are in the first round drafting with luxury on their mind rather than specific need.
Well, teams are getting built better. Like how many teams do we add one wide receiver and it's like, oh, that's nasty.
So the Ravens like to build their O-line and D-line. That's typical for them. But they went out last year and they drafted a really fast wide receiver.
Yep, so they don't need the speed.
And, I think they're going to do it again.
It would be wild if they went Worthy here.
That would be
Flowers, Worthy. Like, let's be honest, though. And again, they don't use their two tight ends enough. But you go Flowers, Worthy, likely Andrews.
Oh,
the running back with Henry that they just added.
Jesus.
Lamar Jackson. That
Shotgun
offensive line.
formation.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah.
Piggy, that'd be nasty,
scary.
man. That kind of weapon. Oh,
yeah.
And it sounds like Odell Beckham's not coming back.
No,
and he
I
actually
would
had
bring
pretty
him
good
back.
chemistry with Lamar. No,
Yeah, he did.
I think he had good chemistry, but I think Worthy, just draft the guy. Just draft him. And again, the Ravens are probably a trade out candidate as well. They like picking up more draft picks.
They
more
do well,
than,
man. They're second.
They usually draft well.
Yeah.
So they're. Yeah, I
These
think they'd be
next
more than
three
happy to get out
teams-
as well. So,
Ravens, 49ers, Chiefs, I think all trade out. And I honestly believe truly that Bo Nix and Penix go late here somewhere. And this is where somebody trades back in to get that fifth year option for both of those guys.
Because it's not going to cost much. Chiefs aren't
Right.
going to ask for much. Neither the 49ers.
Nah.
They're just going to want something halfway decent.
And if Baltimore trades with somebody at the top of the second, Worthy could still be sitting there for you. So
yeah.
It also saves both of those teams money because they're not paying a first round contract.
Exactly. So I don't think any of these next three teams pick in the first round personally. But man, if the Ravens drafted Worthy there and rolled with it, I wouldn't be mad with them at all if I was in that fan base.
Yep.
49ers here. I think this is a little bit more than luxury, but slightly luxury. And if Mims fell here, I think they'd be ecstatic. And they're going to that O-line is a little leaky. And this would help make sure that with everything else you got going on, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that for them.
Yeah. Yep.
So now Andy with the two-time back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Andy gets to pick for his favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Attaboy.
Trying to pull up I had the big board up here. Let me see real quick. This is where.
And I think the Chiefs would be a little sad if Coleman, Mitchell, and Worthy were all gone.
Yeah.
But there's still one more guy that I think is really underrated.
I agree.
That would be
I wonder if we're
really
thinking about
good
the
fit
same one.
for what they
I
need.
agree, and I wonder if we're thinking about the same one. But with the news of Snead and Wiggins could be sitting here, that gets very enticing for sure.
See, this
But
is where
I think they're probably, like you mentioned, they're most likely to trade out.
Right. It just makes too much sense, especially with if you could get back into the top of the second with how you maneuver, and that wide receiver that I hope we're both thinking about could be sitting there as well, same as Worthy. You know what I mean? So that makes it very enticing as well.
Trying to see who I was. So the funny thing is,
Andy was
corner
not
would make
ready for
perfect
this.
sense. No, well, I thought the board would fall a little different. So for my thing is they really, for me, like sexy. If I was gonna say like really, really cool for us, is we would get an amazing D tackle. Like if we had an amazing D tackle next to Chris Jones, like let's say something happens where we would have a shot at one of the best tackles, that'd be just insane. Because I mean, right now,
like Worthy,
what's up? Well, we had
like Worthy.
Yeah, but I mean, it was something like that's what I was trying to pull up real quick to see who was the top tackles, because there's another one I really, really like, but he's not showing up yet. He'll probably drop later. But even
you must not like him that much if you don't remember his name.
Well, we both know my memory is shit. But yeah, I can't find it right now. But that's where. So if I was picking like for what we need, I like the BYU tackle. We need help. Yeah, if you go tackles, yeah. Oh, Leonard Taylor. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What?
So this is where I would say if we could get Leonard Taylor, a big-bodied, he's ridiculously strong. He's down to like 10% body fat. The guy is just a fucking beast. Sorry, but like he's a beast. So this is where I'd want something like that next to Chris Jones. So Chris Jones is going to be a beast, let's say 3 more years, right? Phenomenal. But if we get a guy like Hall, who's with us for 5 years on a rookie contract, now Chris Jones is good 5 years. So we've now taken one of our best guys and done that. Also, I keep forgetting Furious George on the outside, Karlaftis. So if Karlaftis keeps staying what he did, because he had his first double-digit sack season, and we now have solidified the middle. What's his face? Oh, the guy we got, Uzma, the rookie. He had the solo tackle on CMC that shut him down. So that was his big play. But that was just the way Karlaftis was, right? Didn't do that good in the season. Had an amazing play in the playoffs. Then next season comes out and balls. We would start putting ourselves to where our corners are pretty good. They like Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams a lot. That's why they're not worried about losing Snead, because McDuffie was also a Pro Bowler. Well, Snead didn't make the Pro Bowl, remember? He didn't get it. That was the hole he got snuffed out. But McDuffie did. So we've got our guys at the safeties too. We like who we've got. I'm not the biggest fan of Reed, but he's doing pretty good. So I don't know who else we go through. I mean, middle linebacker, losing Willie Gay, but right now Tranquil and I hate when I get tired. But Bolton are amazing.
Chenal.
And
Bolton.
Chenal's our backup. But if we got like Peyton Willis right here, or Wilson, that wouldn't shock me, or Peyton Wilson, like that wouldn't shock me. But dude, if we got another beastie tackle, it'd be insane. What we could start doing. So yeah, Leonard Taylor would be a sexy, like as a fan, go crazy. Because
what wide receiver?
Chiefs not allowed to draft Miami Hurricanes. That's just that's a rule.
Right. What wide receiver?
Franklin.
Yep, me too, buddy.
Yeah.
Cheers, my guy. I only got water tonight, but cheers, because
yeah,
that would be very interesting with Rice and Kelsey and
they like Coleman. So right now, that's the big thing that a lot of Chiefs fans are hoping is that Coleman drops. There's hope that Mims will drop because our left tackle situation is very scary. So is our right tackle. So he did restructure, so he lost a lot of his money. Taylor did, so he restructured to give us money, which was good because I think they're going to drop him.
They never lose money, bro.
Yeah, okay,
They don't,
so they
lose money. You're just
they
moving
moved
it
his.
around.
Yep. So that's where right now they said we've got 19.8 million open. So there's options there. But yeah, right there, I think we got to do defense, man. Because our defense, if we're going to hold up with some of these new powerhouses that are getting created by what we just saw, yeah, Leonard Taylor would be, I'd go through the roof. That'd be so amazing.
like it.
We'd
I
be
like
ordering
it.
a jersey, Pinky. I'd be like, get me a jersey. Get me a jersey.
Make it happen. Pinky, you'll screenshot this. We'll throw it up on our different social media platforms as our first mock draft. And we'll make sure to caveat it with our rules so people don't go crazy about that's never going to happen. They'll trade it away. Yeah, duh. We know. But this is where it stands as is. So
Yeah.
You got any thoughts? You like it? You don't like it? Let us know. We'll probably do another one of these. Maybe we'll do 3 total, maybe possibly 2 for sure.
Probably 3.
And,
I'll try to see if I
can
can work it out where I can get on a PC and maybe we can actually get trades to go. I think this would have been really tough to do trades with this laptop with the website. So
yeah, we could look at that for the next one. So we'll see what happens. But gentlemen, always a pleasure. I hope you have a good evening. And to everybody out there, as always, do not take those moments for granted with your loved ones, family, friends, inner circle. Cherish them, enjoy them, and as always, we appreciate you very much. Peace.
Cheers.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down 'cause the